Okay, JVC RX-307 receiver. In the throes of this thing, basically bought it, gave $5 for it, said no sound on it. Plugged it in, everything worked fine. However, you can definitely see that somebody's been inside this thing before and repasted these output transistors to the heatsink. And, you know, I don't usually like to say much about other people's work, but it was a little bit on the sloppy side, and way too much thermal compound was used. So in order to get those off, we had to unsolder the two large filter capacitors, which I'm probably just going to replace since they're out anyway now. So we're going to clean these up, re-thermal compound everything, and go from there. So we're back on the JVC again. A little bit of an incident pulling off the heatsink from the output transistors because of the large amounts of thermal compound that somebody used to install that heatsink. There was quite a vacuum underneath one of the mica insulators, and consequently, when trying to get it off, it cracked. So with this being less common TO247 package transistor versus the more common TO220, I had to do some big searching around to try to find a replacement mica. Didn't really want to order 500 of them for this little project here, so I was able to find one in an old computer power supply. I actually found 3 of them, so I have some spares now. So we're going to go ahead and get this heatsink installed, and be back in a minute. Okay guys, I just want to point something out, since this is not the first time that I've seen a situation where just gobs and gobs of thermal compound were used, which is completely unnecessary and actually does not help you. It hurts you. The purpose of thermal compound, for anybody that doesn't know, is to basically fill in the voids in the metal. Meaning the metal of the back of the transistor and the metal in the heatsink, you know, because there are going to be microscopic, you know, valleys and dips in those two metal surfaces, and it is designed to fill those to improve its conductivity of heat. This is the proper way to apply the thermal compound. Just a dab right in the center. You're going to put that on both sides of the mica, so the mica wafer will go on over this, and then another dab just like this on the other side of the mica, and then the heat sink will be installed. Once you tighten down the screws, that pressure that you create will then spread that thermal compound out. Because remember, the heat's typically generated in the center of the transistor, not on the peripheral edges. And in the case of this amplifier, those two temperature sensors right there in between the two pairs of outputs, those need some compound as well. That's what it should look like when you're done. So you just have a slight amount oozing out of the side, which is, you know, that bead compressing as you tighten the screws against the heatsink. But what that has left you with is a very thin layer of thermal compound. And I'll even admit I went a little bit heavy on that in the end. You really shouldn't see that much squeezing out, but you get the idea. Definitely much better than what we started with. Well, this is kind of a bummer. While I was waiting for the soldering iron to heat up so I could resolder those filter capacitors back on, I decided to check to make sure there were no shorts or continuity between the transistor and the heatsink, just to make sure that that all the micas were in good shape. And lo and behold, one of them gave me a single continuity beep and then some very low resistance. So not going to trust it. Would it have been okay? I mean, it was not a dead short, but I'm just not going to trust it. So although not ideal, the ideal way would be to pull this whole thing back apart again and redo them all. I am cheating it here, and I've just pulled back the transistor, and I'm going to clean that up, recompound it, put a new mica on there. Hopefully one of the two spares that I have are going to be good, and then we'll get back to reinstalling these filter capacitors. So Whole point of this this part of the video was just to remind everybody of the importance of checking for any sort of shorts or continuity between your transistor and your heatsink after reapplying thermal paste and your insulators. Okay, we've got everything put back together. Everything is working great. One last thing I want to do to this before I button it back up is check the idle current, make sure it's correct, and verify DC offset. So the service manual for this instructs you to start from a completely cold start, meaning heatsink is ice cold, and then turn the receiver on for 5 minutes, and then you're going to use these two test points, one for the left channel, one for the right channel, at these two resistors right here. Those are going to be your two test points, and these are your two variable resistors right here. Let me get that in the camera, left and right channel. So we're going to go ahead and let this heat up for 5 minutes and check our idle current. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and the service manual calls for anywhere between 2 and 7 millivolts, and almost smack dab in the center. Well, not in the center, but we're good. 3.1 millivolts for the left channel, and let's go ahead and clip on to the right. Equal 3.1 millivolts. Okay, idle current is good. So now the last thing we'll check is DC offset, and then we'll just run this for a good long period, burn it in, make sure everything's running as it should, and that'll be the end of it. Thanks for watching. Okay, the receiver's been warming up for about 10-15 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and check the DC offset now. So standard procedure for this, volume all the way down, no speakers connected, or use the B speakers if you don't want to disconnect your primary speakers. Tone control set to neutral, and on a blank input, anything other than phono. So here we go, left channel connected, 2.3 millivolts, spectacular. Doesn't get any better than that. Go ahead and switch over to the right channel. Right channel, 2.9 millivolts. This amplifier is in tip-top health. 3 millivolts, still perfectly acceptable. Ideally, you can have anything up to about 40 millivolts and you're fine. You know, that would indicate a amplifier that's working within spec. Above that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to damage your speakers. However, once you start getting near 100 millivolts, that's the point you need. Something's definitely amiss. But anything under 10 is just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Doesn't get any better than that. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll come back with one more video with the thing working. There you go. Back up and running perfectly. Classy little speakers. Left channel. Right channel.
Hey, can I get a sip of that? Parents,
Treble.
even if your child was vaccinated against meningococcal meningitis, he or she may not be protected against meningitis B. It's an uncommon disease that can lead to death within 24 hours and can be spread by your child's typical sharing behavior. Talk to a doctor today about that.
Phono section. It's about as quiet as you're ever going to hear a phono section. It's volume all the way up. CD, line stage, all the way up. Whisper quiet. Tape 1, all the way up, whisper quiet. Tape 2. which is also a tape loop. Again, whisper quiet. It's ready to rock and roll. Thanks for watching.